Welcome back to my orchid garden. Today I want to share with you in detail how to repot, replant, and care for orchids using hydroponics. Many people work or travel frequently, or simply don't have time to water and care for their orchids regularly. If you continue growing orchids in the old way, they easily become weak, their roots deteriorate, they struggle to flower, and may even stop growing altogether. Therefore, today I will disassemble the plant and repot it using a hydroponic method. Let's follow along. This is an orchid grown in a greenhouse. It looked fine at first glance, but when I took it out, I saw clearly. The roots had shriveled and weakened. The plant had almost stopped growing. The main reason was the old growing medium. I started by removing all the waste and old growing medium. These types of growing media, when left for too long, easily become waterlogged, retaining too much water, causing root rot, and preventing the plant from absorbing nutrients. As I removed them, I could clearly see that many roots were damaged, rotting, and blackened, no longer able to nourish the plant. So, I removed all the old growing medium and then proceeded to treat the damaged roots. After the inspection, I took out my pruning shears and began trimming. I cut off all the damaged, rotten, and weak roots, leaving nothing behind. Leaving these weak roots would only cause the plant to continue to weaken and could even spread damage to other healthy roots. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like and subscribe buttons to support me and so you don't miss any orchid care tips. It's great to have you as a companion on this journey. Besides English, we now have voiceovers in French, German, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Japanese, Hindi, and Indonesian to help you understand the content more easily. Listen in your preferred language by opening the video and clicking on the settings gear icon to select the appropriate audio language. After trimming, I placed the plant outside to prepare for the next steps in the treatment and care process, helping the orchid recover its strength and grow healthier. Next, I took the plant outside and began cleaning it thoroughly. I gently sprayed the base and roots with clean water, rinsing away all the dirt, debris, and remaining damaged root fragments. Which country are you watching this video from? Let me know in the comments. It's wonderful that we can connect and chat with each other from all over the world. After cleaning, I set the plant aside, preparing for the next steps in its treatment and care, helping the orchid to enter its recovery phase. Next, I took out a container and poured in about 1 liter of clean water. Next, I used baking soda. It has excellent antibacterial and antifungal properties, and it also stimulates healthier orchid growth if used correctly. I took a spoonful of baking soda and added it directly to the prepared container of water. Then, I stirred it thoroughly until the baking soda was completely dissolved. Next, I brought the orchid closer, took a soft cotton ball, and gently dipped it in the baking soda solution. Then, I slowly wiped each leaf of the orchid. I wiped the tops of the leaves first. At this point, the dirt and mold were clearly being cleaned away, and the orchid leaves became much brighter. I only wiped gently. The plant wasn't damaged, yet it was still thoroughly cleaned. Once finished, the orchid leaves were completely clean, with no more dirt or signs of mold on the surface. At that point, I set the plant aside, preparing to continue with the next care steps. Next, I took out a clean container and gently placed the orchid inside. Then, I put the entire root system and base of the orchid into the container, ensuring the roots were completely submerged. Once the plant was settled in the container, I poured in the baking soda solution, making sure the water covered all the roots. I then let the plant soak for about 30 minutes to allow the solution to take effect. This time is crucial because the baking soda helps disinfect, prevent mold, clean the roots, and help the orchid recover from the inside out. Next, I took out half a potato. This potato is very nutritious, containing vitamin B, potassium, phosphorus, and nitrogen, substances that help orchids recover quickly after being weakened. Then, I cut off the top part of the potato and then cut it into small pieces. Doing so allows the nutrients to dissolve more easily, helping the orchid absorb them more quickly and effectively in the subsequent care steps. On the Blissful Garden channel, you can also find many ways to make homemade organic fertilizers from familiar kitchen ingredients. These are not only cost-effective but also help plants grow sustainably. Moving on to the next step, I took out a container and put all the potatoes I had prepared into it. Moving on to the next step, I use sugar, specifically white sugar, as this type is very good for orchids. I add about 1/3 teaspoon of sugar. In the next step, I add about 500 milliliters of hot water. The purpose is to help the nutrients dissolve quickly and be released more effectively, so that the orchid can absorb them more easily and the effect will be more noticeable. Next, I stir the mixture thoroughly, stirring well until the potato starch is completely dissolved. Next, cover tightly and leave it out for 1 day to allow the potato water to ferment. After soaking the orchid in baking soda water to kill bacteria and fungi, I gently removed it. It was now clearly visible that the mold and dirt on the plant had been almost completely cleaned. Next, I took a soft cotton cloth and wiped each leaf and every small crevice on the orchid stem. Any remaining mold hidden inside was also washed away. After wiping, I placed the plant outside, preparing to move on to the next step. After a day, I returned to find that the potato water had dissolved the starch and fermented slightly. At this point, the smell was very mild, and the water looked thicker, a good sign. Next, I took a container, gently poured the filtered water into it, and completely discarded the pulp. Thus, I had a bottle of clean potato water, retaining only the essence ready to use for caring for and reviving my orchids. Next, I added about 500 milliliters of clean filtered water to the prepared potato solution to dilute it. Then, I stirred it well, feeling the solution blend together. Next, I took out a container and gently placed the orchid inside. I arranged it so that all the roots were neatly inside the container, with the roots evenly touching the solution. Next, I took a soft cotton ball and gently dipped it into the potato nutrient solution. I carefully wiped each orchid leaf, feeling the surface gradually become cleaner and cooler. This method helps beneficial bacteria remain on the leaves while washing away mold and accumulated dirt. After wiping, I noticed the orchid leaves were noticeably cleaner, fresher, and brighter. Then, I took the lightly fermented potato sprout solution, poured it into a container, and soaked the entire orchid root system. I ensured the roots were fully submerged, allowing the plant to gradually absorb the nutrients. I soaked them for about 30 minutes, enough time for the roots to absorb the nutrients and regain their health from within, before moving on to the next step. After soaking for 30 minutes, I gently lifted the orchid out of the solution. At this point, I could clearly see that the roots had fully absorbed the nutrient. The roots, which had been pale, had turned green again, looking much fuller and healthier. Afterward, I placed the plant in a well-ventilated area to dry naturally, then proceeded to the next step of its care. Next, I took a plastic container reusing old household items, which is both economical and environmentally friendly. Then, I gently took the orchid out and placed it in the container. This is how I grow them using a semi-hydroponic method. Next, I added clean filtered water to the bottom, just enough to cover the roots, creating humidity so the roots can naturally absorb water. This method is very suitable for busy people who don't have much time for daily care. However, I emphasize one very important point. If the water in the container gets dirty, it must be changed immediately. In addition, every 3 to 5 days, I will mist the leaves with clean filtered water to keep them moist and clean. I use nutrient solution once a week to help the plant absorb nutrients and grow better. Finally, I place the orchid outdoors in the garden, in a shady, well-ventilated spot with gentle light, absolutely avoiding direct sunlight. Moving on to the next step, instead of discarding the leftover nutrient solution, I used it to care for the orchids in my garden. I took out a spray bottle and lightly misted all the orchid pots I had planted and cared for. Each time, I would take the plants out and spray the leaves evenly. This helped to wash away dust and mold, and allowed the nutrients to gradually penetrate through the capillaries and reach the roots. As a result, the orchids grew very well, their roots were strong, and they absorbed nutrients quickly and evenly. These are the orchid pots I had planted earlier. You can see that the root system has developed extensively, and the plants look very beautiful. Thanks to regular daily care, the orchid leaves have become sturdy and healthy, and especially, flower stalks are beginning to form. With a little effort and dedication, the orchids will reward you with thick, strong roots and beautiful flower stalks. Each time I care for them, I lightly spray the leaves and roots to ensure the plants absorb all the necessary nutrients. Afterward, I put the plant back in the pot, maintaining the moisture at the bottom so the roots could absorb water naturally. This method ensures the orchid always has enough moisture, growing healthily without needing excessive watering. Typically, I mist the leaves once a week to keep them moist. As for fertilizer and pesticides, I only use them about twice a month. Thanks to this proper care, you'll see that the roots in the pot are growing abundantly. The leaves are green, clean, and healthy. The plant is developing steadily, and I save on watering, especially when I'm away on business trips. Look here, the leaves are very firm. Even though the plant lost its top earlier, it still produced new shoots, even to flower stalks. The flower stalks are large, plump, and healthy, and the flowers bloom evenly and beautifully. All of this is the result of persistent and dedicated care. The roots are creeping up the rim of the pot, and many new, healthy roots are growing. You can tell the plant is thriving. And look at these two full, evenly developed flower stalks, proving the plant is completely healthy from the inside out. We set up a garden so the plants could grow healthier. After just 1 month of care, the plant showed remarkable growth and development. The old, weak, and pale leaves had recovered their green color, becoming much fuller, thicker, and healthier. I gently lifted the plant to check it and was truly surprised. Thanks to consistent and proper care, the root system had developed incredibly strongly. Many new roots had sprouted, their tips a vibrant green, indicating the plant was absorbing nutrients very well. The beautiful, healthy root system spread evenly, showing that the plant was in a vigorous growth phase. Not only the roots, but the old leaves had also completely recovered and a new shoot had emerged from the middle of the stem, preparing to sprout new leaves. Even more special, my orchid has sprouted a new, plump and vibrant flower stalk. This is what makes me happiest after 45 days of care. Grown hydroponically, the plant is very healthy and doesn't require much care. Even when I'm away on business trips, the plant continues to thrive. I only need to pay attention to simple things. Add water when it runs out, change the water when it gets dirty, and that's enough. Looking back at this result, I see clearly that with patience, proper care and dedication, the orchid will grow and thrive on its own, rewarding me with strong roots, beautiful leaves, and a promising flower stalk. I hope this video helps you better care for your orchids at home if you find it helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more simple and natural orchid care tips.